Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter, and today I've got a review of the new Canik TP9 Elite SC. This is Canik's new subcompact model, and we're also going to do a brief comparison between the Glock 26, the Glock 19, and something that's a little bit smaller and maybe in a different category, a more micro category, the SIG P365. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of shooting. We'll take the camera to the table and we'll talk about it. This channel is proud to be supported by the Firearms Policy Coalition. Make sure you check that link in the description box, become a member, and donate when you can, because it is taking a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of effort to put out all the Second Amendment spot fires that are popping up across this country. So they need our full support, and any dollar that you can afford to give them to help keep our Second Amendment rights in place would be greatly appreciated. Also, I want to thank Spartan Arms in North Las Vegas, Nevada. They are a great supporter of the channel. They are my local FFL, and that's who I bought this pistol from. This pistol was not sent into the channel. I spent my money on it, and everything that you're about to hear is going to be based off of that opinion. Okay, so let's go and start off by taking a look at the new Canik TP9 Elite SC. Now, I understand that it's pronounced Janik, however, I don't call Germany Deutschland, so let's go ahead and stick with the English translation, which is Canik. Now, first thing I want to say is this has got to be one of the best values that I have seen on the market today. I mean, you really get a lot for your money, and over the competitors, some of the other pistols that we're going to be taking a look at today, this thing costs $100 to $140 less, and you get quite a bit more with it. So it's a really, really good value. And if you guys are looking for one of these at a really good price, probably the best price that I've seen on the internet, just check out my website, and my website will have any links or discount codes, stuff like that that might be associated with this, since I can't share anything like that here on YouTube. So let's go ahead and open up the box, and I'll show you guys what you get for that particular price point. Again, this is one of the best price points that you're going to find, especially for all this stuff. So as we open up the box here, you'll see that we have our pistol. We have a holster that comes with it, and this holster is reversible for both inside the waistband and outside the waistband. As far as it being right or left-handed, this one is right-handed, and I have not seen a left-handed holster, so try and keep that in mind. But as for a right-handed holster, it actually works fairly well. It locks in there nice and tight. One thing I want to mention before we get too far into this, you can see this one actually has a shield sight on it. This did not come on the pistol. I did not get the version with the sight on it. It just came with that optics mount. So I went ahead and I talked to Optics Planet. They sent me out one of those shield sights to review. And so this thing actually came separately, but I will talk a little bit about it in this video. So you get the pistol, you get the magazine that's inserted into it right now. You also get the holster. It also comes with this trigger lock. Now on it originally was this optics plate, you know, this little plate cover right here. What normally comes right here is this little adapter piece, a little plastic adapter, and that's going to be sitting in this spot, but I use that spot for the plate cover. You also get an additional back strap, if I can dig that out. So you get the back strap that's on there, you get an additional back strap, and then you also get an additional base plate for your magazines, which is nice. So for instance, it comes with this little pinky extension installed on the magazine right there, but if you want something that's a little bit more concealable and you want to bring that down just a little bit, it's nice that it actually comes with that extra magazine plate. So I thought that was pretty cool. So we have the magazines and everything else, and you also get this little toolkit here. This little toolkit, which has a few extra pieces because I installed the optic, but it comes with screws and it comes with tools and, you know, all that good stuff. Now, before we get too far into the review, I want to talk a little bit about the holster that comes with it, because this is the holster that I've been using exclusively, and that's because I don't own another holster for this pistol, and so this is what I've been relying on, and there's definitely some upsides and some downsides to this holster. The the upside is it's a small, lightweight, minimalist holster. It is shaped very well, so it has excellent retention, and it protects that trigger. So when you put this thing in, it's really not going anywhere. It's got a great fit. You know, it's made for this pistol, so it's not a universal holster. It's not going anywhere. It's not a very thick, like ABS plastic like you might get in some others. So yeah, it's a pretty decent holster itself, and it's going to work both inside the waistband and outside the waistband. But one of the downsides that I noticed on this holster after using it for quite a while now are going to be these clips. These are very thin, very weak clips. They do have a little bit of a hook to them so that they'll grab onto your belt, but still, they're just kind of like just a cheap plastic, and they're definitely not the best. If you're able to switch those out, I would switch them out. Now, the Canik TP9 Elite SC is a 9mm striker-fired subcompact pistol. Now, the SC stands for subcompact, and this is subcompact for Canik, but I feel like it falls more in line with a compact pistol rather than a subcompact. I mean, there are some features on here that I feel are subcompact, but to me, again, it's more comparable to like a Glock 19, and we'll talk about that in a little bit when I do my comparison, but there are parts that are subcompact, like the grip. For instance, if we take the magazine out of this grip, I can only grab it with 2 fingers. So if I get a nice high and tight grip on it, I get 2 fingers, perfect purchase, and then the 3rd finger just kind of hangs out at the bottom right here. If we take the 12-round magazine that's provided and we insert that, has a little pinky extension on it, and that allows for a full 3-finger grip, and I get a really nice grip on this thing. This also comes with a 15-round magazine that has a bit more of an extension on it, and you can see that not only can I put all 3 fingers, but it actually leaves a little bit extra at the bottom right there with that 15-round magazine. So again, it comes with a 15-round and a 12-round magazine. So if you were to take this little pinky extension off and just put the standard base plate on that mag, I think you would still be able to get a 3-finger hold on this thing unless your hands are super meaty. I have kind of medium-sized hands, and I do have a little bit of extra material that's left over at the bottom. And so if you have medium-sized or small hands, I think even if you were to switch out this little pinky extension for the plain base plate, you're still going to be able to get 3 fingers on this thing, so I want to point that out. The grip texture is actually very nice on this pistol. It's not overly aggressive. I mean, this pistol is intended to be more of a carry type pistol, and so sometimes if you get an overly aggressive texture, it can wear on you and it can become very uncomfortable. So we have it's a nice texture, but I would say mild on the sides. We have a different type of texture. It's more like a dot matrix type texture if you look at the front strap right there, and then the same goes for the back strap. So we have that kind of dot matrix type extended texture on the back strap right there. One thing I want to point out about this grip is that you can see that towards the back right here, it is not filled up by anything. They actually left that space there on purpose, and that's because this is the part that's going to print the most, obviously. So if you have this inside the waistband and you're trying to get it not to print, anything that extends back here, that's what's going to be printing. So they left this open space, and while it's not super pronounced on the 12-round magazine, if we were to take it out and put the 15-round magazine in there, you'll see that the space, let me see if I can find a better way to show you here, the space towards the back is actually quite a bit more pronounced. So we have this big empty space right here. But again, they did that on purpose because this is the area that is going to print the most. So whether you carry the 12 or the 15, it's going to cut down on that printing. Now, as far as the rest of the frame goes, you can see that we have our slide release, slide stop right here. That is going to be completely ambidextrous, but these are kind of large, and they increase the overall width of this pistol. So it's about 1.47 inches in total width because of the slide stop slide release. So we take a look at kind of like a top down look. You can see that the pistol itself, which is only a little bit over an inch in width, actually is increased pretty greatly by these ambidextrous slide releases. So try and keep that in mind. It does increase the overall width of it quite a bit, even over let's say like a Glock 26, which I believe is about a 1/4 inch thinner than this pistol right here. So we have that. Moving up the front, we have our takedown lever right here. It's very simple to take this thing down. It's kind of similar to a Glock where you'd want to basically bring the slide back just a little bit so that it matches up with this notch right here. And then you just simply pull these down, pull this thing up and off, and I'll show that to you here in just a second. You can see that we have a pretty decent sized trigger guard. It's actually kind of a large trigger guard, to be honest with you. decent sized trigger guard, and then we do have a 2-slot rail system right here to allow you to put on flashlights or lasers or some type of accessory on the bottom of it. As far as lights go, the one light that I found works best with this is actually the Olight PL Mini, which is a very small, compact weapons light that'll fit on the front of the frame right there. The frame, again, is very comfortable. It's nice. The ergonomics are good, and it comes with that additional back strap. So if this back strap doesn't fit you right, all you have to do is simply remove a pin, pop this back strap off, put the bigger back strap on, and then you'll be able to get a better grip for those guys that have bigger hands. Again, my hands are a medium size, and so the one that came with it actually fits perfect for me. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about this slide. This slide is kind of like the star of the show to me because it has so many features. One, it's Cerakoted in a very nice tungsten gray color, so you have that tungsten gray which kind of offsets the black accents. You have angled cocking serrations which take up almost the entire rear of the slide. So the serrations go all the way from the back right here, all the way past the extractor to the middle portion of the slide right there. So pretty much anywhere that you grab this thing, you're going to be able to grab onto it and rack it without a problem, even if it's wet. They're kind of like mildly aggressive serrations. To the front, we also have some more cocking serrations, but these ones are a little bit different. These serrations are mild towards the middle and upper portion of the slide, but they're very aggressive towards the bottom of the slide. So if you're going to be reaching under the pistol to do a press check, you're going to be able to grab onto the more aggressive part without having to worry about overly aggressive slide cuts towards the front. So that's pretty nice as well. We also have a loaded chamber indicator, which is located right there. It's small, it's not very obtrusive. It pops up just a little bit when there is a round in the chamber, so you can actually get a little bit of a tactile feel on this thing to know whether or not there's one that's actually loaded. And then it has a red indicator on the side, so if you need to visually inspect it, you can see that that thing pops up with that little red visual indicator. Now, as far as the sights on this thing go, it actually has pretty nice sights. This is kind of like a combat style rear sight. It's totally blacked out on the back, but it is a perfect 90-degree angle right here. So if you need to use these sights, again, this did not come with this red dot right here, but if you need to use these sights, they're slightly hooked forward, and so you can actually rack this thing off a table, you can rack it off your belt, you can rack it off your boot, whatever the case is, you can get a good hold on that, and you can go ahead and manipulate this thing with one hand. On the front here, we do have I'm not sure I really consider them night sights because if you're going to be concealed carrying this thing, by the time you actually pull it out, I'm not sure that it's going to have any type of glow to it, but it does have a phosphorescent greenish white front sight. So it's a front sight dot, and the dot works really well. It's got a large dot to it. You can see this thing pretty good, and if you hit it with a little bit of light, it does glow for a long time. But again, it's not a tritium-based night sight. It's just a phosphorescent night sight that's going to react to light and then give you that glow for a little bit. But still, they're great sights, and they actually work really well. Now, when you get this thing, if you don't get the model, because they actually do have a model that comes with an optic already on it, but if you don't get that particular model, it's going to come with this little cap right here. The cap is also Cerakoted, and thankfully, it's actually Cerakoted front and back, or top and bottom, which is nice because that's going to help with the corrosion resistance and, keeping everything nice, and you're not going to have to worry about this thing wearing down over time. Now, as far as the sight goes, it takes a shield sight. Okay, that's the footprint that this thing has. That's the cutout that it has. The shield sights are kind of like micro sights. I have the box right here. It's called the Shield Reflex Mini Sight. Okay, these are actually British sights. These are British sights. They're kind of interesting, and I'm working on a review for this, which we're going to do separately and independently. But this is actually a polymer body, which I found to be very interesting. And the glass is not glass. It's actually a polymer, I think it's like a polymer type resin. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still doing a little bit more research on it, but it is not a glass sight either. So you have the polymer around the body, and then you have a polymer type glass that's in there. There's some upsides and some downsides to that. Another thing about these sights, if you want to put one on here, is that they are not user adjustable for brightness. So it has a sensor in it. The sensor is going to, basically adjust itself based on the ambient light that you have. So if you're outside and it's very bright, it's going to put that red dot on here very bright, and it's definitely daylight visible. I mean, it's a really bright little red dot. But if you're, let's say, inside with a shadow and you're shooting out to bright light, that's where you might kind of have some issues. But so far, I'm actually finding that it's actually pretty intelligent, and it's just about right on. Now, as far as the trigger goes, this is another area where this pistol shines. It has an excellent trigger. It's very smooth. It's got a nice take-up. It's got a nice reset. It is a decent trigger for sure. You can see it's got that little red safety bar right there, very similar to, let's say, like a Glock safety trigger. So this trigger is not going to be able to be pulled back all the way unless you first depress that little red bar. But the nice thing about this is, versus let's say like a Glock trigger, is that little red bar actually recesses all the way into the trigger. So you don't have that kind of rounded off thing that's sticking out like you do in a factory Glock trigger, where it gets a little bit annoying after a while. This thing recesses all the way back. So let's go ahead and I'll see if I can show this to you guys right here, what it looks like. So if we give it a trigger pull, it's very, very light right here. So a light amount of take up, almost like a 2-stage AR trigger. So we have our initial take up, and then we bring it back. It's very nice and smooth. There's not a super good defined wall where this thing is going to break, but it definitely gets heavier to the point where you can kind of tell where it's going to break, and then it breaks right there. As far as the reset goes, it's got a nice reset. It's not the shortest, but it's a good reset. Resets right there. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. And here's our reset right there. Okay, so that's the reset, that's the trigger. It's definitely got a nice trigger. It's not super lightweight where you'd have to worry about carrying this thing. I don't like carrying pistols that have really light triggers. I like carrying a pistol that has a smooth trigger and a clean trigger and a nice break, but not something that's going to be, you know, below 3.5 or 4 pounds would probably be my limit as far as carrying. I don't want this thing to be too light. Okay, so here's the pistols that we have for comparison right here. Each one of these I brought out for a different reason. Mostly it's going to be like a size comparison, but still I wanted to show some of the different features. The Canik has some stuff on here that you're not going to find in any of these other pistols. Now we have the SIG P365. The 365 is kind of in a different category because it's a micro compact carry pistol. It's definitely much smaller than any of these other ones, but I wanted to bring it out because it also has a 12 round capacity in the magazine, just like our Canik right here. We have my wife's Glock 19. I've been showing this a lot on the channel because I'm working on a review for this barrel right here. It's got a really cool chameleon barrel, and I've been working on a review for that to see how accurate and reliable it is. We also have a Gen 3 Glock 26. I went ahead and put the original OEM slide back on this thing just so we can have a better comparison. It does have a different trigger shoe, but as far as the internal components, these are all factory internal components for the trigger, just a different trigger shoe. So we have these 4 guns on the table right here that we're going to take a look at. Now, the first thing I want to say is that the Canik TP9 Elite SC, to me, while it's a subcompact for Canik, really kind of feels a little bit more like a compact than a subcompact. So it feels like it's more in that compact category and doesn't really hit a lot of the notes that I'm looking for to get it into the subcompact category. For instance, width. You're looking at 1.47 inches of width on the Canik TP9 Elite SC. So it's a little bit wider. A lot of that has to do with the ambidextrous slide stop slide releases. They kind of stick out pretty far on the side right here and make the overall width definitely a little bit wider. As far as the slide itself goes, the slide itself is just a little bit over an inch wide. Now, we take a look at the competitor, let's say like a subcompact Glock 26, you're looking at an overall width that's going to be significantly less, just over 1.2 inches in total width, not the slide width. The slide width is only going to be about an inch width, but overall width with all of the components like your slide stop and so forth on this one, you're looking at about 1.23, 1.24 inches in total overall width. So that's going to be about 1/4 of an inch slimmer than our Canik. Now we have the 365. Again, that's not really a comparison as far as the overall width goes. This is a micro compact, so it's going to be significantly slimmer. The Glock 19, you're looking at about the same as the Glock 26. It's going to be just over, 1.25 inches in overall total width with a slide that's 1 inch in width. As far as the length goes, that's kind of why I wanted to compare all of these. So if we take these and we move these to the side here, and we take a look at the Glock 19, get rid of the fact that this has an upgraded slide on it because the dimensions are still very similar to a standard Glock slide, and also forget the fact that we have a threaded barrel. If we put these on top of each other, and I kind of compare the width and the length here, if we put the back of the pistols together like this and I show you, it is almost not any difference at all from a Glock 19. I'm going to say maybe a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch overall difference. I mean, You guys can see it right there. You know, you can see the threaded barrel sticking out, but as far as the slide and stuff goes, it's pretty much identical. So it's got really the same length as a standard Glock 19, but with a shorter barrel than the Glock 19, and it's going to be a little bit wider than the Glock 19. Where it's different than the Glock 19 is going to be in the grip. So let me see if I can find a better way to show you this here. So if we take these two and we kind of go from grip to grip, right at the top of the beaver tail there, you can see that the grip on the Glock 19 is going to be longer than on the TP9 Elite SC. I'm going to say it's probably about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch in length longer. So obviously when it comes to concealed carry, this is where it's going to be the most effective in being concealed, is how short they can get it right here. If they can keep it really nice and short right here, then it's not going to print. And the Glock 19 is definitely going to print more than the Canik. So I wanted to point that out as well. Now the Glock 26, which is to me a true subcompact without getting into that micro compact size, this is, to me, it's a much different size. The overall width, obviously, again, you're looking at 1/4 of an inch difference. But if we take these two and we put them next to each other and try and line up the back here, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if we can maybe change the angle on this as well. And we put the backs pretty much the same. You can see that the Glock 26 is significantly shorter than our Canik. So you can see right there, it's about 1/2 an inch difference. So to me, this would be more of like a true subcompact length if we're taking a look at two subcompact pistols. To me, the 26 is definitely a subcompact without hitting that micro compact size. It's a true subcompact. So having something to the left right here, which is our Canik, which is almost the same length as a Glock 19, versus a true subcompact like the 26, you can see the length is quite a bit different. And again, 1/4 inch difference in the width. Now, if we take a look at the Canik and the Glock side by side here, you'll see that the grip on the 26 is also going to be a little bit shorter than on the Canik. Now, to me, the 26 is probably going to be my benchmark for what is considered a subcompact. If it falls in line with the Glock 26, then to me it feels like a subcompact. If it's larger, then it's going to be more of a compact in line with a Glock 19. So again, we have on the 26 a smaller slide, a shorter slide, and we also have a shorter grip, which is going to make it a little bit more concealable. But again, this one right here comes in at $100 to $140 more, and you get a lot less with it. For instance, the Canik actually has that slide cut for an optic, where you're not going to get that with the 26. This Gen 3 26 right here does not have any type of accessory rail, and you're going to get that accessory rail on the Canik. Also, when it comes to capacity, you're going to find some differences there as well. So on the Canik, it comes with a 12 and 15 round magazine, where on the 26 comes with 10 round magazines, and so that is going to be your standard capacity. Now, you can extend the capacity of both of these, but you know, with the Glock, you could even take a 26 and take one of these like a Men 2 34 round magazines, and I could take that 34 round magazine and simply stack it right in my Glock 26 and extend this thing out, you know, to ridiculous lengths like that. So that's the nice thing about Glocks, having that compatibility with the magazines, be able to throw a 34 round magazine in there if you wanted to, and you're not going to have that with the Canik. So again, when we're talking about like size wise, I would say that the Canik is going to be a compact, and that's not necessarily a subcompact like the 26, but again, it's subcompact for Canik. Now, if we're talking about the Canik versus the 365, even though it's not really comparable because they're not really in the same category, the reason I wanted to show it is because the 365 is extremely popular, and it has a magazine capacity that is very similar to our Canik. So when you get the 365, at least this model right here that comes in FDE, you get 3 magazines. We got a couple 10-round magazines, and we also have a 12-round magazine. And the 12-round magazine that comes with the 365 is almost the same size, length, and weight as the Canik, but the 365 magazine is just going to be a little bit slimmer, so that's something to consider. But with the Canik, you're going to get the 12-round magazine and a 15-round magazine that you're not going to get with that 365. So again, the reason I wanted to represent all of these different pistols out here is because you can see that each one represents kind of a different size, right? So you have the 26, which to me is a true compact, and in between a 26 and a 19 is going to be our Canik. The 19 is going to be the biggest out of them, but smaller than our 26 is going to be that 365 right there. So we have 4 different size representations here, 4 different magazine capacities, but at the same time 4 of the same caliber. So each one of these is also going to have different features. It's going to feel different in your hand. There's going to be people out there that just absolutely hate Glocks, they won't shoot them, and they definitely won't carry with them, but they might love a SIG, or they might like this Canik. So again, it's not just about the size and the different features, but also about cost and what somebody might prefer. Each person out there might prefer a completely different pistol, and so, you know, you can't have just one brand or one specific type out there and say that this is the best. You also have to look at price. You can probably buy a whole case of ammo, or at least a half a case of ammo, with what you're saving over these other brands right here that are also going to be, you know, comparable for the same purpose. So, you know, having that extra ammo means extra time to train, or maybe the money that you would save over these other models, you can buy additional magazines for this. The fact that it comes with a holster means that you don't have to worry about spending extra money to get a different holster. Again, the cost savings are definitely going to be there, and the fact that it's in between the size of a 19 and a 26 might fit a lot of people. So again, that's why I wanted to compare these four. So hopefully you guys got some information out of it, even though I know it wasn't super technical. I still wanted to be able to show this to you guys. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. Again, this is the Canik TP9 Elite SC. I did not get this sent to the channel. This is something that I bought and I paid for myself, and I've had a really good time with it. I think it's a great pistol. So anyway, again, I want to thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and have a great day.